So I'm Sue Ella and I live in Cardiff. I am 54. I've got two teens, got Ruby 18, Sean 20, and I've always been a lover of life. I've always done, a lot of, I'm passionate about freedom. I've always had a lot of fun. Family's, of course, very important. I've got a lot of friends and I love food. I love food. Okay. And in 2020, lockdown, that was the year I started my health transformation and I didn't know I needed it, but we'll come to that. Long story short, I'm now one of, it's actually 12. I'm now one of 12 master coaches in the world, coaching the method that I went through 6 years ago that I didn't know existed. And I've jumped on, I'm now doing this self-employed and full-time. And because I coach in groups, I have now been responsible for over 300 health transformations, and every single one of my clients gets huge success. I have had no failures. And so that's just a summary of me, but I want to introduce you to a little bit of my backstory. So before I was a health transformation coach, I was a choir leader and an IT consultant, software engineer, IT manager, day job. And I was busy because I getting loads of projects. This is me running a big choir in Cardiff, but everything that I was doing, plus being a busy mum, lots of social events, lots of parties, great lifestyle. I've never been one to be, down in the dumps. I didn't do an awful lot of low comfort eating. It was celebration eating for me. We're going to talk about comfort eating and emotional eating on a future slide. But there was a lot of celebration involved, okay, which was great. And I thought it was healthy. But I didn't realize. So this picture just sums up my food relationship. This is me like in my element. I've just put on a party. There's some nice healthy things there. There's a ham, there's some carrots, but the sausage rolls, the pizzas, I'm like, this is life. It was my life, and this is just me in my 30s feeling, exhausted, bloated, bit frumpy, because I couldn't find anything to wear. I've always been into hair and makeup, always been into glamour, but I was all right from here up, but I just felt I couldn't find anything to wear. And that's how it took its toll on my physical side. But in terms of my food, the afternoon slump was just debilitating. Anybody in the room feel that debilitating afternoon slump sometimes? We think it's normal, but you will see it's not. It might be typical, but it's not meant to be. We are not meant to experience an afternoon slump. Yes, when it's hot, we're meant to shelter from the sun, but we're meant to have good, solid, all-day energy. And the only reason we're getting the afternoon slump is because of the way we're being fed. End of. Cravings were through the roof. I had no control at all over what my body was craving, and what my body craved was wine, cake, cheese. But I was very careful. I was always very careful because I was always on a diet. But when I got into my 30s, it'd be the brain fog, just like feeling so unproductive, feeling lack of focus. And then as I started getting into my 40s, then stiff, achy joints, night sweats. And I knew that I was heading for perimenopause, and that was not, perfectly normal, understood that. But I didn't realize that it was all related to the way I was eating. The tiredness, particularly when my kids were little, I remember at around putting them to bed at around 7:30, trying to read a bedtime story to the kids. And I just couldn't stay awake. I just couldn't keep my eyes open. And I'd be reading and I would just, and after a while, I gave up. I was like, I cannot put the kids to bed because I just don't have the energy to read them a story. And so I thought, well, why don't I do something relaxing at the end of the day, maybe have a glass of wine, and my husband can deal with the kids, which was a very good role for a father, read the kids a bedtime story. But it meant that I missed out on that very precious time. So how many things have we been missing out on because we haven't got the energy for? And I had failed every diet going. Hands up in the room if you feel like you have failed every diet going. So here is a few. Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can get my window back. Yeah, I want to see my slides. Right, so my personal experience, I've got a longer list than this. Slimming World, done that for at least 15 years, never got anywhere. Oh, just ended up feeling guilty that I couldn't make it work for me. What it was because you were so restricted that it meant you couldn't have a meal out. Oh, Marion have had some success with diets, but not sustainable. Yeah, this is a very typical story. If you follow what they're saying, if you can, you will get some results because they're doing calorie restriction and you will get some results. But the question is, as soon as you stop going to class, as soon as you stop checking in, as soon as you stop counting your sins, it's going to all go back on again. And worse, more is going to go back on again because there's this kind of rebound effect. Did you experience that too, Marion? That's when I realized, yes. I realized that a bit more was going on every time I rebounded from it. So I thought, I'm ditching this. Oh, we got the 5-2 diet, the Cambridge diet, powder. Anybody had powder? Make up shakes out of powder. Oh my goodness, I did that for years. Atkins, keto. I've tried exercise, did Zoe, did Noom, and intermittent fasting. Now, I'm not saying that none of those things have anything good about them. There's absolutely something to be said for intermittent fasting. Zoe's got a good thing going, but it's not a health transformation program. It's information. And exercise is a great thing, but it's never going to get us healthy. It's not a great place to start if we want health. It's the place to, once we've fixed the health through food, exercise is the next thing to improve health, but it's not going to fix your problems. Certainly not an effective way to release weight. So I just ended up feeling like a failure. You know, it was amazing really to think of it because I am a high achiever with my job in management, the big choirs, riding motorbikes around the world, Arizona, Colorado, traveling. I could do anything I set my mind to. I couldn't get a handle on my weight. So this was about feeling like a failure. And I felt that it was my fault because I had zero willpower. Now, I know not everybody's here to talk about weight loss, so I'm just going to keep this short. But these were all the reasons why I learned why diets don't work. It just taught me this diet mentality, the cheating, the saving up, the on it, off it, constantly on it, off it. And it just, when I got to about 40, I realized it's not working for me. It's miserable. I don't want to live my life this way anymore. So I stopped. And then I spent the next, should we say 9 or 10 years on a journey to discover what did work. I started to understand a little bit more about natural eating, about things that work for me, like low carb, intermittent fasting. And I started to get some success, but I still was confused and overwhelmed by all the nutritional advice out there. And I still didn't have a handle on my weight. I was still on it, off it. And then it was 2020 when I was scrolling through, I was painting the hall, I was decorating the house, and I was just looking for something that I could listen to while I was working. And I stumbled across a webinar between the founders of Mind Valley, Vishen Lakiani, and the founder of WildFit, Eric Edmeades. And they were on this webinar and they were talking about all the principles that I'm talking about today. In particular, they were talking about how every species of animal on the planet has its own species-specific natural diet. So we think of that as normal when we think about tigers and lions. We know what they eat, right? They catch prey. They eat raw meat. We know what elephants eat. We've seen elephants drinking water from a pond and sucking it up through their trunks, and they absorb all kinds of, organisms from the water. And we know what sheep eat because they eat largely grass, right? But how much attention do we pay to how humans evolved? What is the natural Homo sapiens diet? And what does that look like? So this webinar that was talking about the modern food environment and the diet industry and all the convenience and the supermarkets and the big corporations keeping us hooked. It was a revelation for me listening to all that, because in that moment, in that 1 hour masterclass, I learned, oh my goodness, our bodies are not thriving. And it explained all the reasons for my failure at dieting. It even explained why I was craving all the wrong foods. And what they was talking about was how when we learn to eat in a more natural way, the natural human diet, the dramatic health benefits, because health is our natural state. And so one example is of an elephant. The typical lifespan of an elephant in nature is 60 years. And if you take that elephant and put it in captivity and then feed it a factory-made diet, that poor elephant starts to suffer with all kinds of chronic ailments, like, for example, and I've looked into this, arthritis in the joints, mental ill health. We know from what we know of zoos that animals in captivity suffer with mental ill health. And that's, of course, that's to do with the environment that they're living in, but it's largely to do with the food that we're feeding them. In the case of elephants, it is. And believe it or not, obesity. Now, does that ring true for us as humans? We're kind of living in captivity. We're being fed by the modern food industry. Let's just go to that slide. Look at that compared to our natural. That slide showing that a more natural way. Yeah, the comparison between the two is just unrecognizable. So it begins to explain. And if has anybody ever read the Ultra Processed People? Ultra Processed People by Chris Van Tilliken. It's a real eye-opener, and it's all about what I'm talking about. So in a nutshell, the modern food environment is not just ultra processed foods, it's modern foods, modern convenience foods that we rely on, that we often think of as healthy. You know, I'm not going to specifically target any, because I don't want you to start worrying about what you're eating, because that's not the approach I take. But the kind of foods that we're feeding ourselves because it's quick, easy, are the kind of foods that's causing chronic inflammation, joint pain, stiffness, any digestive disorders that we tend to complain about, like IBS. People got some really severe digestive disorders like Crohn's. My mum had diverticulitis, which was alleviated through food. So digestive issues, you know, acid reflux. And then we've got the other sort of metabolic conditions, high blood pressure. They want us to think that it's because of salt. It's not because of salt. It's mainly because of sugar and processed, highly refined carbohydrates, spiking our blood sugars, causing inflammation. And then longer term damage to our health, our metabolic health, type 2 diabetes. And I know that more and more and more of us, and younger, we're getting diagnosed with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes. And it's not our fault, it's the way we're being fed. But once you see the way out, you'll never unsee it. The weight gain we've talked about, but also things like PCOS, polycystic ovaries. And we've also mentioned depression, anxiety, burnout. Burnout is a huge one. So everything was just explained to me on this webinar, okay? And so I jumped on the program because I heard them saying, right, this program, it was a lot of money for what it's more than I'd ever spent on a digital program before. But what I was hearing was money back guarantee, lose 20 pounds in 90 days. So I didn't know that I needed all the health bit. I didn't really resonate with it, but I was hearing lasting and sustainable release of weight, managing your weight for the rest of your life, and there's this money back guarantee. So I jumped on. And my goodness, I didn't think I could stick to it because I just assumed it was going to be another diet. But you'll see as I go through these slides, it's not about another diet. It's about a transformation in the way we think about food. And this is me now. No more cravings. I mean, that's not to say I don't get a fancy. Yeah, if I come across a delicious patisserie It's got all the, oh yeah, fancy though. It's not cravings. Cravings are largely dealt with now. No more afternoon slump, pretty much ever, unless it's Christmas and I've really gone off plan or holiday and I feel like, oh, those carbs are taking a toll on me, but pretty much if I'm eating 80% on plan, 70% on plan, no more afternoon slump. I do not have that pain and stiffness in my joints anymore that I started getting in my 30s. And now I'm 50, nearly 55. And it's just giving me that positive outlook on the future. Because I was worried what my future was going to look like. If I was stiff and achy in my 30s, what's the future going to look like? My dad's struggling with arthritis now. I'm trying to help influence him on his food choices. And he knows, but anyway, I'm free from that debilitating joint pain and stiffness that used to hold me back such a lot. No more gut issues. I've got an excellent gut microbiome. My skin is the best it's ever been. My allergies are reduced. I used to take allergy medication all year round, but I only need it in the highest of hay fever season now. Whereas before I needed to take allergy medicine for dust, for cats, for other people's animals, every time I stayed in somebody else's house. And that is completely managed now. Yes, I released 2 dress sizes, which was absolutely life-changing from a confidence perspective. But now I know that the weight release side of it was just a small part of it. And the health, the vitality, the future, and the confidence is so much more. And I'm off all medication. I'm off all medication. Oh, I do take the antihistamine at this time of year. I've been taking that a couple of weeks, but nothing major. Energy, interestingly, I need an hour less sleep than I did before. I always needed 8 hours. And I used to say, I'm an 8-hour girl. I need my 8 hours sleep. Well, I've had 6 last night and I feel completely fine, full of energy, absolutely fine. So my sleep requirement is reduced because my sleep has improved. Body confidence. And probably the best thing is I've ditched dieting forever because it was a bane of my life. Bloody bane of my life, dieting. And I do not diet now. I just eat in a way that helps me thrive. And I love it. So what I want for you all is to discover that love of eating to thrive for yourselves. And that's exactly what I coach. So let me stop sharing because I want you to have a look in your workbooks. I'm going to come back to the room and we'll go through some questions, okay? So everybody in the room, have you got your workbooks with you? Who's got one printed out? Yeah, amazing if you have. And if you haven't, don't worry. Maybe you didn't see it in the email. Doesn't matter. Just get yourself a notebook and make a few notes as we go along. So, and please feel free to jump on. How is your energy? How is your sleep? How is your health? What is holding you back at the moment? Is it low energy? What about headaches, migraines? I see a lot of that. And that's something that I've had a lot of success with. Is it sleep disruption? Is it the typical symptoms of perimenopause, like the hot flushes, the brain fog, joint stiffness, pain, gut issues, skin issues? Or is it largely to do with the unwanted weight that tends to pile on when our hormones change? Pop it in your workbook, what's coming up for you, because there's no need to share because this is all quite personal, but just pop it down. How is your energy, your health, your sleep, and how are you feeling about your body right now? Then we're going to go to the next question. Oh, and if your workbooks don't quite reflect the structure of the questions, just have a flick through and answer it in the most relevant place, because those workbooks I gave up trying to adapt them for every single workshop. Okay, just find a place to put it. And then this is something you can keep and use to reflect as you next time. Right, what is the impact on your work? So what is the impact for those of you who are self-employed, for those of you who serve others, for those of you who are in employed jobs, whatever it is, family business, or even just the work you do for the community, the charities, whatever it is, what impact does that have on you? Does that leave you reaching for more coffee and sugar just to get through the day? Do you feel like you're fulfilling your potential? And then how does it impact on your personal life? How does it impact your motivation, your family time? What about that time that we love to spend with them? When, like with putting my kids to bed, when it comes to that opportunity to spend time, do you have all your resources, or do you have the energy that it takes to have a good time with family? Do you have time and energy for your friends? Are you always waiting until something improves? I spent decades waiting. So, how much time are we going to spend waiting, wanting more out of life? And are we low on joy? And are we low on self-care? It's now time to put ourselves first and start, first of all, learning what it takes to prioritize our health and well-being and energy and vitality, rather than waiting around for something to change. So have a look for this question in your workbooks. And I'd love to share, if anybody would love to share in the room, if you could become the healthiest, most vibrant version of you, with the confidence in the future, feeling good in your body, feeling energized, and just, more time and more energy to do the things you love with the people you love. What would that do for you? What would life be like? How would you feel? What difference would it make to you, to the family, to your loved ones, to your partner? Who else would benefit from your health and freedom? And what kind of freedoms would that give you? And what other areas of your life would improve as a result? So I would love to come to the room and ask who's had a little bit of an insight into how they would feel once they get to that energy, vitality that I'm promising everybody. How's that going to feel? Marion, is there anything you'd like to share? Can I come to you and see if you've got anything that's coming up for you?
Yeah, I said in terms of how I'd feel, I'd be energized, bubbly, enthusiastic, and busy getting things done. So
Wow.
I know that person's there.
Yeah,
That's what I
absolutely.
feel like. I feel like I am me, and at the moment I'm wearing a fat suit,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it weighs you down, and it's just like I know I need to find the thing that will help me peel it off. It's
Absolutely.
become very sort of, I think that's the postmenopausal thing, is that the clarities come about the years of sort of what's happened and stress and work and everything that happens to us through life. It sort of wears you down, and then this suit is almost like an armor against some of that stuff, but I feel I'm ready to unzip.
Oh, I love that. This unzipping, this releasing. And the words you use there, it feels brutal to say, I feel like I'm wearing a fat suit, but I
Mm,
know exactly how that feels, because that's exactly the words that I used to use when I was stood in front of the full length mirror back in my 30s.
mm.
I felt like
Yeah, and
really,
I've had to go back through some old photos for some other stuff, and I've gone back and I've looked and I thought there was nothing the matter with me. What were you
absolutely.
thinking? I've been on a diet since I was 14, probably, 62 now. Been on diets all my life, and you've been up and down, up and down. But I can look in a mirror now and go, yeah, that's me, like the other lady said.
Yeah, it's a
I'm not
huge
happy.
part
I
of it.
wouldn't say I'm happy with it, and I haven't gone, I'm happy to stay there because
Yeah.
I know I'm not looking after my body as best I could. And I think my body has been really good to me because I have abused it in various ways with food and drink. I think there's a good body and it's strong, and I can be much weller than I am. I am fairly healthy and I do eat reasonably healthy. It's just I'm weighing it down with all this extra weight, and it puts pressure on your organs that you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'd like to live a long and happy life.
We want to feel confident when we look in the mirror, and we look back to the days when we thought we were fat. And actually, we look back and we go, well, I would love to look like that now. So there's definitely body confidence going on there. Now, let me just pick up on that for now, because when we eat to thrive and we feel better, that kind of goes away. We can still look in the mirror and we can go, this is my healthiest body. I might be carrying some extra weight, but I know that I am healthier than 100 other people in the room. The way you feel, and if you get blood tests done and you find out that your blood pressure is good and your nutrition is good and your diabetes indicators are excellent and your gut health, you know that you can look ahead with confidence. And so when you've got that energy and that confidence, it doesn't matter so much if we're carrying a bit of extra weight. But you also know that the body will release some of that anyway. So it's, it's complicated, but it's all about eating to thrive at the end of the day. And when we eat to thrive, number one, our confidence improves. And number two, the body helps out a bit. So if you could find that energy, that freedom, and feel so much lighter and happier. Can I go another level? What would that do for you? If you could have that, what would that do for you?
I think it would let me live the life that I'm meant to be living. And as I said, I'm, thinking of retiring, but I don't want to retire and sit at home doing nothing. I've got loads of plans, including I'd like to start my own business, but I'm not quite sure what that is yet. But, I like helping other people, and there's lots of things that I've gone through that I think I could help other people. I need the energy to do it. So it would open up a world of possibilities for me. And, I'm very lucky where I live. I live on a place with land. I've got horses. That's why I'm off work, because I had an accident with the horses, dear
Oh,
things that they are. So, you know, I could enjoy the horses, take the dogs for walks, be outside more, just, yeah, living my best life, really.
oh, I love that. Thank you so much for going to that next level with me. Living the life you were meant to live. That's what it's all about, isn't it? You've got so much to give. How many other people in the room feel they've got so much more they want to achieve, so much more they want to give, people to serve, communities, causes to support, life that wants to be lived, the horses that, the whole thing. So it's so much more. Yeah, Zoe, I see you. It's so much more than just, oh, I want to lose some weight. Yeah, this is deep, profound stuff. And the first exercise that I get my clients doing is this to 5 levels deep. We've gone 2 levels deep today. And when we go 5 levels deep, we hit that kind of, whoa, that's my calling. That's what this is about. And when we discover that, what I call our big why, that's when we get the true, authentic motivation to want to make changes, which is so different from anything we've tried before. Let me go back to sharing. Feel free to keep writing notes, but we're going to just go back to the slides. So, what is it for you? What does your food relationship look like without guilt, without judgment? Right? This is not about you're being bad. This is not about you haven't got enough willpower. No, we live in the modern world. This is the modern world. What is your relationship like with the food in the modern world? Okay, not our fault. But this slide shows you what I'm talking about. It's the celebrations, food and drink all around us. They want us to celebrate all the time, which is a lovely thing. It's just that there's unsupportive food and drink involved the whole time. The impact that that has on us is, a lot of us say we have a sugar addiction. So many people tell me they have a sugar addiction and they think it's a character defect. It's not a character defect. It is a symptom of the modern world. We eat compulsively because the foods that are being fed to us, being made available to us, are addictive, basically addictive, full of sugar, full of refined carbs, spikes the blood sugar, leaves us craving more. And it's so cheap and available that we keep going to it. It's like, oh, I need something. Oh, so it's available. It's cheap. It hits the rewards signal in the brain. So compulsion, comfort eating, it's all a symptom of the modern world. Think about ancestors, hunter-gatherer. There was no compulsive eating. It was impossible. They ate what was there and that was it. So food relationship, and yet we think it's our fault. We think we've got lack of motivation. We think we, can't stick to anything. But it's because the only solutions we've come across so far are all about diets and willpower. Diets and willpower do not work. The reason why diets and willpower fail is because willpower it gets fatigued. There's only so much willpower you can actually pull out of the bag. It doesn't address the root cause. It leads, for me, being on a restrictive diet leads to rebellion. And that's why I was always on it, off it. Oh, I can't stick to this damn thing. Forget it. I'm going to go out and have a lovely meal. I'll get back on it on Monday. Yeah, that on it, off it mentality. It always backfires in the long run, trying to deprive yourself. And of course, diets ignore our feelings. It ignores our hormones. It ignores our emotions, the reasons for emotional eating. And when we're under stress, we can be sticking to a diet, doing really, really well, but then when life gets in the way, we revert to old habits. So unless you train your brain, the neuropsychology part of this, nothing's ever going to change permanently. Okay, so let's ask in the room then, talking about emotional eating, comfort eating, food relationship. What is your go-to emotional food? So it could be, oh, I've had a bad day, I want chocolate. It could be, yeah, crisps. Venetia set a cold beer, going to eat out, menu for the day, tapas. Yeah, it's the whole environment, isn't it? Lizzie, yeah, crisps. You want to eat crisps because there's crunch, there's flavor, it feels comforting. It hits the reward system in the brain, or these unnatural foods. For some people, it's chips. For some people, it's coffee and a cake. Well, it's probably more likely to be a bar of chocolate, isn't it? We grab a bar of chocolate, a packet of biscuits, whatever's in the house. We grab something from the petrol station. We treat ourselves. Yeah. So have a think. Everybody else, if you haven't already answered, have a think. Pick one emotional food: stress, comfort, reward, loneliness, tiredness. Pick one. Here's where we're going to start to break it down. Here's where we're going to start to understand it a bit better. What is the emotional state you are trying to change? Is it that we are lonely and we're trying to get a bit more connection, a bit more joy? Is it that we are pushed for time, stressed, we just need to eat quick? So we turn to unsupportive foods. Is it we want to reward ourselves? I've done a really good job, or I've worked really hard, or I've had a difficult week. I want something. I want a treat. How do we treat ourselves when we want a treat? Do we treat ourselves with food filled with crap? It's a little bit like the car analogy. If you had one of these super expensive performance cars, I don't know, like a Ferrari or something, Lamborghini or something like that, would you put crap petrol in it? Or would you put the highest quality of petrol in that car? When you get it serviced, the oil in the car, you'd use the highest quality. And yet, in our precious bodies, we treat ourselves with crap because it's available, because it's pushed on us all the time, because there's the program in our brains to think that certain things give us joy. We all experience loss and grief and loneliness and sadness, and we're not going to fix everything in our lives by getting the food right. But what we can do is we can improve the way our bodies respond to stress, and we can improve the way we're nourishing ourselves in response to hard times. So next time you are turning to the chocolate, the ice cream, the crisps, whatever it is, the wine, the Coke, ask yourself first, what emotional need am I trying to satisfy here? Or what need? Convenience, joy, fun, celebration, whatever it is. What am I trying? What is this? What do I think this is going to do for me? Then I want you to have it consciously and ask yourself, is this food or drink having the impact that I wanted it to have? Is it making me less lonely? Is it rewarding me for a hard day? If it tastes delicious, how long does that last? I want you to really examine where the reward is from that food and how long it lasts. Or does it not fulfill at all? So, oh, well, I wanted to feel better and I had this takeaway and now I feel worse. Sometimes we even feel worse. So that is the first thing that I would love you to take away from this. Now, let's go to some of the best kept secrets. So I was talking to you about how nature holds the secrets to emotional eating, comfort eating, thriving, nourishing your body, breaking free from the vicious cycle that we are kept in by the modern food industry. So let's have a look at those secrets. The first one is, as we've already talked about with the elephant and the humans sitting around the fire, there is an optimal human diet. Okay, there is a natural way that humans are meant to eat, and it's not the same all year round. So this explains why sometimes those of us that experienced energy from a low carb diet, it's absolutely true. We call that spring. In spring, it would have been a fairly low carb season with lots of vegetables, meat, fish, and eggs. And for those people that are vegan, vegetarian, the pulses, the legumes, the lentils, the chickpeas, the beans. Yeah. So we are putting our body into a relatively low carb state that gives us energy. It feeds the brain on ketones. The brain gets into a higher functioning state. And that is why whenever I speak on stage or have an event that I want to look good and feel good, I put myself in spring because it is the way to access my best energy and vitality. Okay, so that's spring. And there is the way that humans evolved in spring still works. It's just that most people have never experienced it in their bodies. Yeah, Venetia, that's your best season for feeling good. Amazing. And yet we were not meant to live our whole lives in that season. You know, there is also summer, which I've pictured here with, we got these lovely fruits in a basket. Yeah, so fruits and root vegetables and all the lovely carbs that are available to us in nature that would have come out after the sun had been out a little while. You know, I went for a walk this morning and it's only the start of July, but there were blackberries. So summer brings more sweetness. So we're absolutely meant to thrive on sweetness for a time. And then autumn is even sweeter because we get more sunshine into our fruit and vegetables, which gives us much more sweetness. But it's only for a time. And the reason why the human race was able to thrive was because tapping into summer and autumn with the carbs and our insulin response stores fat on the body. Yeah, so we put sugar and carbs into the body. Body goes into fat storage mode, insulin. And so humans evolved to be able to store fat because that carried us through what? A harsh winter. Okay, so a harsh winter would have been hot and barren rather than cold and snowy, but there was nothing around. So we would have gone long periods of time without anything. And what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So we now know all the huge benefits of fasting. So I've just presented to you the natural 4 food seasons and all the benefits there are to be found in those. So there's spring for weight release and energy and brain function. There's summer for balance and a little bit of indulgence with sweetness and really maintenance. And then there's autumn, which is treat day, holiday time, you know, but all the delicious fruits and sweetness, honey, maple syrup. So It's not like dieting. When we can tap into autumn, and I've got a holiday coming up next week, I will certainly be tapping into autumn to have some lovely holiday indulgences. I'm absolutely going to have an ice cream if I find a nice homemade ice cream shop. I'm absolutely going to have some delicious desserts. Maybe my sister-in-law is going to make some cakes, and I'm going to indulge. I'm going to put myself into a season that I call autumn, which is perfect for holidays and traveling. So do you see that some of the things that we've tried before, intermittent fasting, low carbing, there's definitely some value, some health benefits in that. And some of us have experienced some benefits, calorie restriction, some benefits in that. But you've got to map it to the way the human body was designed to thrive, so that we're living the optimal balance between these seasons. Whereas at the moment, most of the world is living life in what I like to call a perpetual dirty autumn. A perpetual dirty autumn. No, it doesn't matter, because in the modern world, we have supermarkets, we have shops, we have imports. We choose the season based on what's going on in our calendar. What a beauty. Yes, it would have been for our ancestors. It would have been spring, like in spring. Of course it would have. But these days, I teach the same program all year round. When I want to be in spring, it's summer now and I'm in spring. I am eating in a lovely, delicious, low carb way that's giving me maximum energy, and some weight is coming off. And my plate looks really colourful and healthy, and I'm enjoying my food. And then I could go into winter next week if I wanted to do a bit of fasting for health benefits. I could go into winter anytime. So I coach all 4 food seasons can be done any time of the year. It's like, it's like the advanced level. This is like blending the best of nature with the best of modern life. Yeah, with our blenders and our sharp knives and our food processors and chopping boards and air fryers. I love all that. So it's tapping into what nature has to teach us, but accessing all the mod cons and the supermarkets to make it easy and convenient. Most of the world is living on, everything in this picture. And if this is your lifestyle, no judgment, but that if there's too much of this perpetual dirty autumn, we are going to feel it in our bodies. So secret number 2 is about, we hinted on this when I said, have you all got a glass of water? Mine's got lemon in it. The first of the 6 different human hungers is thirst. So there are 6. So we know that humans evolved to get most of their water through food, which explains why sometimes when we feel hungry, snacky, we're actually thirsty. So there's just number 1 of the 6 human hungers. The next one is low blood sugar hunger, because of all the foods like that. Modern foods give us low blood sugar hunger. They keep us hangry, afternoon slump, desperate to eat. Most of us live our lives like that all the time. That is now a thing of the past, because I've completely eliminated low blood sugar hunger. The next one is nutritional hunger, which is where we need to get all our nutrients. And Lizzie mentioned this earlier. It's about being able to find enough protein, as well as all the micronutrients that we need. All the vitamins and minerals and all the other things that we need in our natural evolved diet. The way we're eating, we're filling up our plate with empty carbs, even if we're not succumb to ultra processed foods. Most of us are filling our plate with empty carbs. And so the next thing that we do is deal with nutritional hunger by adding in more of the good stuff. So if you take one tip away from this, you've got your tackling the comfort eating, the emotional eating, and understanding what's going on with that. The next thing is filling up with all the good stuff before we even try to make any swaps. Okay. Emotional hunger we've touched on. Variety hunger is a thing. So there's 6 different human hungers, and we need to tackle each one before we're ready to start up in our game. We need to get the 6 human hungers dealt with first. Okay. And that's exactly what I coach in the first few weeks of the program that I'm going to tell you about. So why is it that we get, let me just jump to this slide would just, Venetia, just a few of the 300 success stories, because this goes to show what happens when we learn to nourish the 6 human hungers and eat in the 4 seasons. Freedom from sugar cravings, no more IBS, skin is glowing, enjoying foods I couldn't tolerate because of my gut before. That was Catherine. She didn't join for weight loss. She joined because of sugar cravings. Venetia, back when you did this testimonial, a lifetime of weight struggles and poor sleep were keeping you stuck, which is when you reached out to me. And when you were at your peak, you were sleeping better, your skin was clearer, your pain had eased significantly. And as you've already testified, you had a dramatic shift in your mindset and mental well-being. So huge well done to you. And you know that that is there for you. Just need to tap into a bit of support. Natalie, oh my goodness, Natalie did the program she was diagnosed with diabetes and was feeling tired and stiff and achy and really in pain and low energy. And Natalie releases, says here she released 4 stone. It was actually 5 stone altogether. She's continued to release weight after this, but it wasn't so much about the weight release. It was about reversing the diabetes, getting the energy back and eliminating the joint pain. Let me just whiz through these because I know we're running out of time. Alison, arthritis, couldn't bear to climb the stairs, now moving without pain. Ellie, a younger lady that did my program with young kids. She was an exhausted mum, living with low energy, bloating and sugar cravings for as long as she could remember. She released a stone as a side effect, but the real transformation was getting her energy and confidence back. April, now feeling in control of food for the first time in years, and IBS, sleep, skin clear, and the compliments she gets on her skin, as well as lovely body confidence as well. So just wanted to show you what the result was of eating in that way, the way that, you know, we're naturally meant to eat. When you satisfy all the hungers in the right way, the nutritional hunger, the low blood sugar hunger, what happens, and you get nutritionally complete, what happens is your gut gets happy. Yeah, your gut microbiome improves really, really quickly. It's amazing how quickly the gut will improve, and we will get the improved digestion, improved brain function. So when we do get all the nutrition that we need, stabilize the blood sugars, get a happy gut, here's what increases: energy, focus, clarity, sleep efficiency, mood, mental well-being, immune system improves, fitness, your cardiovascular fitness and your muscle starts to improve, sometimes even without doing any strength training. Just by doing the normal movements, we find that people are gaining muscle just by eating in this healthy, natural way. Skin improves, and interestingly, your desire for healthy food increases. It's amazing because the gut does that. The gut is incredibly clever. And what goes down? The afternoon slump. You need less sleep. Cravings go down. Your desire for unhealthy food, the crisps, the sweet stuff, goes down. Absolutely, dramatically improves. Inflammation, any symptoms to do with inflammation, tight rings, swollen ankles, puffiness, bloating, bags under your eyes, all that's to do with inflammation, joint pain, stiffness. We're talking about nature's natural anti-inflammatory diet is what we're talking about, a natural anti-inflammatory diet. Plus you've got all that flexibility and freedom in the different seasons. Brain fog, hot flushes, all the symptoms of perimenopause improve dramatically. Some people have said they don't need the HRT anymore because they've eliminated the symptoms through food. And not knocking HRT is a great thing. I would say if you're considering it, do this first. If there's any symptoms that haven't been managed through food, then consider taking the HRT. But you'd be amazed, you know, millions of women everywhere taking HRT to get on top of these symptoms when it's food that's causing them. The reason why it's related to hormones, this is just an interesting fact that'll help you understand. When estrogen, in its very simplest form, when estrogen starts to go down through perimenopause, starts to be depleted, it makes us more sensitive because the estrogen was keeping us resilient against erratic blood sugars. The depletion of estrogen just makes us more sensitive. So if we fix the food, we fix the problem. and we can cope without the estrogen. We're meant to, we evolved to. We become the wise women, the ones who don't take no shit. So menopause is a good thing if we've got the food right. It doesn't have to be painful. Right. Then the 5 secrets, then, just to summarize the 5 secrets. 1, our modern food environment has a dramatic impact on the way we feel in our bodies. The energy, the inflammatory symptoms, the brain fog, and the stubborn weight gain. The advice you've all been trying to look to and trying to improve from is mainstream healthy eating advice, which is hard to navigate. And even if you could navigate it just by following the information, it only goes so far, because they're still telling you to put empty carbs on your plate, and they're still telling you to eat a certain way, which is never going to give you the benefits of the full version of the natural human diet. It can be helpful for some people, but it's never going to create real change in the way that we've been talking about. Willpower is always going to let us down. Your relationship with food is the key to this. Yes, it's about learning how to get the food right, and we do that one step at a time. I don't give information. I take you on a transformation. I give almost no information at all. I just say, let's try this. Everybody try this week, right? And at the end of it, your relationship with food is transformed, because we've done the heavy, we've done the reprogramming. And finally, we come to freedom, conscious gastronomy. Freedom with food, as I've talked about my holiday coming up, through experience of what works. To be honest with you, what you can get away with, all right? What you can get away with, if you like. I can get away with having 2 pieces of dark chocolate every single day. I can get away with having a few glasses of wine a week. Sometimes I don't drink every week. I can get away with having a few desserts here and there, but I know what I can't get away with, and I know what I can. So it's that conscious gastronomy that you will arrive at once you've been through knowing how your body thrives at its best and how good that feels. And then you can reintroduce a little bit of whatever it is you fancy, because we want you to have the most joyful food lifestyle. I could never do this if I felt deprived every day. No way on this earth. Somebody that failed at diets for 35 years, if I didn't have some of the things in this picture, I wouldn't, life wouldn't be worth living. For me, freedom is everything. Angela, so, one of my best friends now, I'm going to be staying with her tomorrow night. Food no longer rules my life, and she's maintaining a weight loss of 5 stones. But what's more important is she's pain-free, and she's no longer on the list for a knee operation. Okay, so it's that food relationship that makes it sustainable. Neuropsychology, neuroscience, we're programming the brain here. We need to make sure that this is an individual, personalized, solution-based approach that is sustainable. Basically, this is a training program for the rest of your life. There's a cohort, typical, up to about 20 people. We implement one step at a time in the right order. It's never hard. We just challenge you with doing one tiny change each week over the course of 13 weeks. We tackle the root causes of emotional eating. That's a huge part of this. We train the body and the gut and the brain to desire the right foods that are supportive for you. And you'll never look back. And the way you look back at the old foods would be like, why would I ever want to eat like that again? But you've still got your freedom. And the method that the underlying framework that I coach, the food system, is the program that I did 6 years ago. But now that we've got all my coaching on top of it, it's a completely different experience from what I did 6 years ago. But the framework that I coach, that I'm a master coach in, it's now more like 250,000 success stories. So it's a tried and tested framework that is respected all over the world. But the difference is all the freedom and doability and mindset and everything that I've been showing you is all my layer on top of that. Loads more case studies, blah, 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 blah. Donna in particular, was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, a lung condition, brain fog, perimenopause, all in 1 year, all in lockdown. And she is an amazing success story. She couldn't get out of bed at times. And now she's reversed her diabetes, and she's now basically swimming like 100 lengths, walking 20 miles, foraging, and having spiritual trips to India. She is just an incredible example of what's possible. But we're seeing them again and again and again. Geraint reversed his diabetes. I am actually a diabetes reversal coach. Is there anybody in the room that's worried about diabetes? Anybody on the replay? Come and book a call with me, because that is absolutely something we can tackle. So, my darlings, I hope that you've taken a lot of tips and inspiration away, so that you know that you can go away and have a healthier summer now, applying some of the stuff that I've talked about. But if you want the transformation, the 90-day complete transformation, the average weight loss is 20 pounds, but it's the freedom from pain, the freedom from cravings, the freedom from needing to use willpower, the freedom from dieting, that lasting change that is going to serve you for the rest of your life. Book a call with me. Okay, book a call, because we start in September, and I'm going to throw in some early bird bonuses for anybody that sees this either on this workshop live or sees the replay. Book a call with me and put a small deposit down for September. And what we're going to do is we're going to all get together over the summer. I'm going to get you started early. Okay. And also, my accountant tells me that I absolutely have to start adding VAT. But I think in September, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be September or October, but it's round the corner. But what I can absolutely do for those of you who are ready to grasp this, I can give you VAT-free prices. There are a range of prices available, so I'm not just going to float numbers now, but get on a call with me and we will talk about affordability. We'll talk about the levels of support. There's a VIP level, there's a standard level, there's payment plans, and I want everybody to know that it's important to me that this is affordable for everybody. It's not cheap, but if you need this and you think, how the hell am I going to afford it? Let's just have a conversation, because I can be creative. Okay, I will never let anybody go because of affordability. That is my commitment to you, because I want everybody to experience this. So that is my commitment to the world. And the more I do this and the more VIPs I get doing the program, the more I can build a bursary pot that allows anybody to do this. Okay, so just don't let how much is it get in the way. We will talk about that. I promise you it will be affordable. Okay, so my darlings, any questions? I'm going to stop share. I'm going to pop in the chat the link to book a call with me. You can scan that QR code. That's my health empowerment call, which is completely free. We'll take about 45 minutes and we'll really get to the bottom of what's been holding you back. And I will be able to give you that a really clear idea of the steps we're going to take to get you to the energy and vitality that I've been talking about, with a money back guarantee, because this works. And yes, you've got to put in the work, but it's doable. There's nobody that's dropped out because they couldn't do it. Yes, there may be some challenges, and that's why I'm there. But nobody has dropped out because it was too hard. Okay, so book that call with me. There's a QR code you can scan. An email will come around, I'm sure, that will say book a call. But I would also love to know what you got out of the session. So if anybody wants to stay on and ask me any questions, I'm going to stay on as long as you need.